So this YouTube channel here and this YouTube channel here are responsible for making my business $160,000 in 1 month here. And total for this company, you can see we have $500,000, I believe, ish in this payment processor. And on this one over here, you can see 596K with the company Relentless Success Club, which if you see is also the hoodie that I am wearing. I think it's pretty obvious that we did not get this through YouTube AdSense here. My channel has 2,100 subscribers and gets barely any views, and my business partner's channel here does not get anywhere near enough views to make the kind of money that I just showed you. So where did this all come from? Explain how the system works and how you can do it for yourself, because it's not just me. At my company, Seven Figure Creator, I've built these micro channels all in the last 90 days of people to do this exact same thing here. And if I can do it, so can you, because I'm an ex-pro Fortnite player and a 15-year-old dishwasher who watched one too many Iman Gadzhi videos and decided to learn how to make money online using a social media marketing agency, which I turned into the business that I just showed you here. So to explain the overall of how this actually happens, first things first is we got to identify our TAM, our TAM, which stands for total addressable market. What this means is that our given niche that we speak about on YouTube is going to fall under one of three categories. We have either health, we have wealth, or relationships. And every single thing, every product ever is going to attract one of these core demographics here. Once we have done that, we need to find what kind of content the actual viewer perceives as valuable under this category. So in some cases, it might be how-to. A great example is if you're in a more tech or engineering niche, a how-to is going to be more relevant. You have lessons, which might be more relevant if you're in some form of business space or somewhere where it's more about mental performance. The next one is going to be live action here. If you're, for example, teaching people how to work out, or a great example is trading. There's a guy named TJR Trades who does live action demonstrating exactly how he does things. And then the final is case studies. So if you're in something where you might not be able to actually demonstrate it yourself, like you're breaking down professional athletes, case studies are an example of how you can actually demonstrate your expertise still. Then from that point on, once you figured out who you're speaking to and what kind of content they generally find valuable, you want to go ahead and estimate your core audience size. So the three ways to do this are first and foremost Google Trends, then we have vidIQ keyword traffic, and then just looking at the size of our competitors' channels. A keyword that I think is super awesome right now is organic dropshipping. If we were to check all the metrics, you can see here it has a 74 out of 100 score, and it has generally high views. And you can't take these metrics completely for granted and just like a stat. However, if you were to click into the people that are constantly posting about this, you can see that they are getting pretty good views. And what I consider good views is anywhere from 500 to all the way up to 1,000-ish views per video. It means that someone's going to be able to consistently generate enough traffic to sell their product off of this. For us, as you can see on our channels, we'll get anywhere from 500 views all the way up to 3,000 on the high end. And I've seen people, once again, like over here, convert with all the way down to around 100 to 200 views per video. So it's definitely possible to just have a much smaller niche. So now we're on vidIQ, which I don't even have an affiliate for. I just think it's a great platform. And you're going to go to the keyword section here, and you're able to search up the same thing of organic dropshipping to test the validity of the keyword that we actually have. You can see we have the same thing here, and we're able to check into the matching terms and the questions people are asking. And you can see that there's a lot of sections with low competition. However, as we showed in the competitor section, they are getting good enough traffic for us to sell something. So the number one reason that I hear when people don't want to capitalize on selling something online is that they don't want to be seen as a fake guru because they don't have enough experience or expertise to sell something. And I just want to share this as an example. Yesterday, I met a guy who was selling a course on a foreign language that he himself didn't even speak. He was using ChatGPT to throw together a complete document and course, which he was then selling and making somewhere between $5,000 to $10,000 a month. So I share that as an example, but not as a rule that you do not need to be an absolute expert in the world to do this. You just need to be one step ahead of the person you are selling to. My company here, Relentless Success Club, made our first $10,000 selling a $100 product, teaching people how to get their first client here. And that is exactly how simple it can be. It was a Discord server where we took a skill that we documented the process of us learning, and then we turned around and we showed people how to get that same desired result. You do not have to be the top expert in the world to teach something. In fact, a lot of people actually want to learn learn from somebody who might be only 1, 2, or 3 steps ahead of them. If they have somebody who is all the way out in the stratosphere over here, the information might no longer be relatable. If you were to learn from Jeff Bezos how to start a business, he might tell you to start taking out loans. You got to get funding. You've got to build infrastructure. You got to do all these things. However, that is not the level of complexity that you are at. So if there's somebody who maybe was in your shoes 6 months ago or 12 months ago, they're going to be able to more accurately assess your problems, relate to them, and also present you the solutions for them. From that point, the next thing to identify is our competition. So once we have gotten all the keywords that I find from vidIQ in our given niche, we're going to just start searching all these up and seeing what is going on in the space, and then listing out all of the competitors that are actually posting in this format, categorizing them into 3 categories. First and foremost, we have the whales. So these are the people that have a big audience. They're making a splash, probably making really good money. These are the guys flexing Lambos, Porsches, all these cars. Then we have the sharks. These are the people that are medium size. They might be in a nice place, whatever. They're getting anywhere from 500 to maybe 1,000 views per video, depending on the size of what you're doing. And they're doing well for themselves, but they're not like the top dogs in the space. And then you have the fish, who are usually the very small people. And to go back to the actual keyword of organic dropshipping here, you can usually find the fish from just filtering the actual YouTube channel by going to this week. And you can see all of the new people that are posting on this. And again, find some smaller people like this guy who is documenting his process organically. This guy I'd consider maybe a shark or a fish. And you can categorize all these people more and more to properly understand the entirety of what is going on in the given space or keyword that you're going after. Then from that point on, you're going to take a keyword like vidIQ or TubeBuddy, or most YouTube automation softwares have this, but you're going to want to start tracking every single person's YouTube videos that they post, thumbnail changes that they make, and understanding everything about this and having it almost read like a news feed so that you can consume everything going on in your niche and have a broad overview way better than all of your competitors. And that's going to allow you to create your outlier catalog with all of their best videos, which you're going to simply store in a YouTube playlist. That's all you need. That is the top level production system you're going to actually have, is just a YouTube playlist here that has all of the winning video ideas that your competitors are putting out as main inspiration to see what is going on into your. Now, that is not going to be the only way you make videos. As you can see here, this is a production board that I have built out in my Notion that I do for myself and everybody that I work with, where you pretty much want to log every single video that you are making. And if I were to click in to any one of these here, you can see that there's a good amount of process that goes into the inspiration, the iteration, and script that I'm building out for each video, because the key to making good videos is understanding the ratios of creation. So instead of just coming up with one video idea, you want to come up with 50 video ideas. Instead of just coming up with one title, you want to come up with 25 titles. Instead of just coming up with one thumbnail, you want to do 10 thumbnails. And if you can create this volume, you can actually have the best level quality content. That's what all the top creators like Mr. Beast, Iman, Ali Abdaal, all those guys are doing, is they just have teams behind them creating mass amounts of volume so they can pick from whatever is the best. And then from that point on, you then want to move into getting extremely clear on the specific person you are talking to. Now we understand the space that we have and the overall market, but we need to understand the person that we're talking to extremely well. Are we talking to rich people, or are we talking to poor people? We're talking to people that are trying to make money online, or maybe people that have already made money online. And I've seen guys that are selling tailor offers. They fly out to people's houses and they make clothing for them, or they fly out to people's houses and they do stylist and jewelry choices. That's somebody that's talking to rich people, versus somebody who wants to make money online might be under the demographic of poor. And when I say that, it's not a derogatory, just explaining the overall mindset of these people. From that point on, I want to go into the demographic of them. So this means what they are on a piece of paper or form. This is their age, where they are in the world, their income, maybe the school that they went to, all of the information that you can actually build out. And typically, this is going to be very similar to your past self. Ideally with your coaching offer, because you're going to be showing your face in some way, shape, or form, even if it's not branded to you as a person, the person that you're going to be able to relate to the most is a version of yourself in the past. Then you move into the psychographic. So we have the demographic. The psychographic is a little bit different. It's their brain, their psychology. So we want to figure out, how do they spend their time? What do they watch? What do they already know about this current business model we're talking about? what have they already tried? Where do they spend their time outside of just watching things? Do they go to the bar with their friends on the weekend? Do they go to sports games? Are they spending their whole day locked in their room? Understanding this very well is why guys like Hamza are able to speak so directly to their audience, because he understood that, hey, a lot of these guys that are watching him might not actually be going out with their friends. They're sitting at home playing video games with dudes they met on Discord. And that single point alone is massive for understanding the entire process of how we're actually going to execute this. So, zooming back in, once we have that, we need to understand the values and the beliefs that they hold about the world. For example, what do they think about college? Should they complete it or not? What do they think about businesses? Do they want to run a business themselves, or do they want to work for somebody? What do they believe about money or lifestyle? Do they want to work hard? And understanding all of these things is going to create a very clear picture about the desires that they actually have, and understanding those. And then this is the most important part here. We want to understand the current pains that they have. So what problems do they already have in life and their business? What drives them to do what they do? So they might be researching how to make money online or how to learn another language, but what is the actual driving factor? For the example of language, one of the biggest things that the guy that I met who was selling it off ChatGPT realized is that the language he was specifically teaching people was a big thing for employment opportunities. So people that were trying to get a job in a different country needed to learn this language. So if he tried to do it from passion projects perspective and say, learn new languages, expand your brain, all this stuff, it wouldn't work. However, he understood that these people are getting jobs in this foreign country and then as a result need to learn this language. Then what are they afraid of? So if you can understand what they're afraid of, it's going to allow you to create something that they actually have, because people would much rather avoid their fears. They'd much rather run from a burning building than they would chase an ice cream truck. So if you can create something that justifies and removes them from all their fears versus everything that is their dream end state, it's going to always do better. And then again, what do they dream about doing, so that we can combine these two, even though this one's going to be the primary and this one here is going to be the secondary. From that point on, the money trail. So what have they already spent money on in the past? What do they actively spend money on? And what are they looking to spend money on in the future? Understanding this will give you a really good idea as to where you can plug yourself in. You do not need to create some revolutionary product to make people buy from you. You just need to figure out something that people are already spending money on or have already spent money on, and find a way to position what you are doing as in that category, and then identify to their pains, justify all their fears, and then create a dream state that's going to allow them to actually resonate and then buy from you here. This next section is the authority. So who do they already follow and why do they follow them? What points of value do these people have that make them follow this person? What do they like about them? How do they prefer to consume information? Some people love going on TikTok. Some people love going on YouTube. And that will give you an idea about whether they like short content or whether they like long content. Do they like document breakdowns like this? Or do they like dopamine edits flying everywhere and music in the background? What kind of stuff do they prefer? Big is emotional or logic based. If you can really understand this, you'll be able to identify to your audience at a fundamental level. A lot of people might think that, all right, yeah, my audience is super logical based, da da da. Majority of the time, it is going to be emotional, and you have to justify with logic here. Then we want to figure out what format appeals to them the most. We have talking head videos, we have slideshow videos, we have in action, so us actually doing the thing live. We have Miro board, we have Google Doc, and we have whiteboard and iPad. These are going to be the best videos for appealing to someone across the board, whether it's logic or emotional, especially when you are selling something. I know if you're creating entertainment content, you might be using AI, all this stuff, but you want to create one of these following categories if we're trying to sell something, and then figuring out what do they actually watch on YouTube again. So is that general education? Is that problem solving? Is that entertainment? A lot of the time, it's going to be a mix between general education here and entertainment, and you have to get very clear on how that actually works. It's very rare to see an audience that only watches for problem solving. Here, examples of niches that actually do this are math, and then also a lot of like sciences, anything related to school, but then also a lot of the niches that go after exclusively rich people, because it's just a trend on YouTube that rich people typically actually watch through search content. So they'll search for something and then they'll watch it. They don't let the algorithm really dictate what they actually consume. And then finally, once you figured out everything about what they watch, how they consume things, you want to get into what words does only your ICP know. If we can speak to people with, instead of a megaphone, using a dog whistle that only they they understand, you can then relate to them on a way, way higher level. An example is you're somebody who does YouTube, you understand what the word CTR means, or you understand what AVD or APV means. These words might not make sense to the average person, but however, because I understand exactly who I'm speaking to behind the camera, you are now going to be able to relate to me and understand that I'm somebody who gives a deep care about what I actually do. Then, from that point on, once we've got the dog whistle, we just want to get keywords in our given niche that align to that. So, for example, we have the keyword of organic dropshipping that we were covering over here. I've seen a guy who took this organic dropshipping and he changed the overall niche keyword to branded dropshipping, which is something that his ICP still understood, however, allowed him to stand out from the crowd. I'll show you his channel here. And he has been making a lot of money doing this. So you can see here, he speaks about branded dropshipping and AI and utilizing all of these niche keywords that only his ICP understands. And while we're here, I want to explain some other minor psychology things that this guy does. If you go to his oldest videos here, you can see he has a much higher quality camera and probably the ability to pay an editor millions of times over. However, he understood his demographic is somebody probably sitting alone at their laptop at night trying to figure out how to work on business. So he made himself and actually just made here as relatable exactly like them and probably how they're watching that video. And then because of that, he has this unique character that people relate to and then can convert clients because of that. Now, going back into what this actually looks like, we're going to find that keyword that we're going to then be able to pull people out with. We need to figure out what dream outcome they actually desire. So do they want to make more money? Well, what is the specific amount of money we can speak to? Do they want to book more appointments for whatever business? Do they want to achieve fluency in their given language? For whatever we're selling, we want to actually just take the dream outcome, the dream state of everything they want and break it down to one keyword or one statement that we can use often, and then go ahead and combine the keyword over here with this dream outcome in order to actually create a banger YouTube title here. And now this keyword is going to be embedded in every piece of content or majority of the pieces of content as a hyper niche part of our market that we target. For example, on this channel you're watching right now, the keyword that I always use is micro niche YouTube channel. It's something that I constantly repeat because it's a current theme in my content that shares exactly how I do and the desired results that I actually want to get to. Then from that point on, the value proposition. So what can you give to your audience that they will value the most? Do they want validation? Do they want information? Or do they want implementation? So validation, an example of what actually sells like this is a lot of mindset stuff. So you see people that are selling mindset, manifestation, create your dream reality, law of attraction. Whether you believe in it or not, you can understand that what they're doing is they're validating somebody's current state and saying, all right, it's your mind that's the problem. So if we can solve your mind and validate your current problems, you can get to your dream outcome. The second example is information. So somebody that might appeal to actually getting information is somebody who, for example, is building out a coding software. If you're doing coding, the biggest thing that you're missing is the information on how to do this given thing or how to put it together. And then the third example could be implementation. This is what a lot of BizOp or some make money online offers actually relate to, because a lot of people think they want information. What they actually struggle with is implementation of the information they have. For example, at my company, Seven Figure Creator here, as much as you might be watching this video thinking I'm selling a course, I don't do that. What I do is I make YouTube videos for people completely done for you, because I understand that implementation is actually what's valuable in the thing that I do. And because of that, I can give all the information away for free. Then again, you want to confirm that and line that up with a slideshow once again, just because it might change from earlier before once you've done more of this research. And then we want to get to brand positioning over here. So how can you present this value in a way that is unique? What is your story of getting this result personally? And this can be either through you documenting on social media the process of you getting there, like you saw with some of the people doing the branded dropshipping, or it can be that you already have that result and you are going to go ahead and teach it. As you saw, it can literally be as simple as if you speak fluent English, teaching people how to speak fluent English. That's a skill you have that you didn't even know you have, that you now have the ability to sell. Now, what is your signature look? How does it stand out? Is it a certain kind of watch that you wear? Is it the fact that you have your hoodie on or your hat on? Or is it the background that you have? what is the impression that you're giving off? What is the camera angle? What is the studio shot? Is it a wide angle? You need to pretty much go very and almost to an autistic level of understanding exactly the image that somebody's going to get when they see you for the first time, because that perception and that first impression is massive for how they're actually going to go ahead and convert, know, like, and trust you. How do you talk to your audience? Is it like a friend or is it like a teacher? Are you somebody who's saying we're on the same level, or are you speaking down to them as an authority, or are you asking advice to your audience? There's all different ways of doing this. How is your personality? Are you bold or confident, or are you timid and analytical? And you can see as I'm actually explaining this, I do a lot of these things. Maybe think about the unique character that I have, or that some of the favorite people you have on YouTube actually present themselves with. Whenever I talk about this, I always like to bring up Alex Hormozy because he's the perfect example. He is a $100 million, nine-figure business owner, yet he presents himself in a way where he almost looks like a caveman at times. And that makes him stand out so much in his content, because you are never going to see another person that looks like this talking about business in the exact same way that he does. And because of that, his face sticks and he is memorable. You need to make yourself memorable in a way that is unique. And then once you've done that, you can move into the next section here, which is going to be creating your Jarvis. So when you actually have your YouTube channel, you need to create a profile picture that is aligned in your uniform that you actually record your videos in. You want to create a banner that states the mission of your channel, create a description that tells your story and exactly who you are, create all the foundational documents that you just went through the process of creating here with the prompting questions that I showed you, and put them into somewhere where you can constantly remind yourself to review. And then you need to implement channel SEO. So tell YouTube exactly what kind of content that you make in the descriptions and the tags of your videos, especially when you're starting. Set upload defaults for the channel, actually the content style, if it's education, if it's people and blogs. And this is all done in the settings section, as I'll show you in a second. So this is a completely fresh channel on YouTube. Just want to show you exactly where you can do all this. So you have your settings here. Just make sure your currency is all good to go. The keywords are going to be dropped here. Your country of residence is actually important just for YouTube to have that box checked off and be able to actually push you forward to monetization. Advanced setting here. Just want to make sure the channel is not meant for kids here. And then from that point on, you can have probably all this AI stuff off, but this should allow people to clip your content here just so you don't get anything with like Creative Commons and whatnot. Then from that point on, standard features here, you just need to make sure that you have your phone number and your email verified so you have access to thumbnails and links in your description. From that point on, you should be good on the channel section. Upload default, so the description you use for every video to push people to your product should be here. And then the tags that you use in your video should be set up here. The overall, if you go all the way back up to the permission and the channel that you actually have here, we need to add keywords for the given business model or the dog whistle that I spoke about earlier, which you can just go onto this website, Rapid Tags here. It's completely free, and just copy paste these in and it will be all good to go. It does not need to be over complexified. You just have to give YouTube a good idea of what you are actually covering. Super granular on the setup phase and understanding the psychology behind how to actually do this. Now I want to explain the process of how it actually all plays out and what it's going to look like when it comes to converting people onto a product. So the product that we have is going to fall under one of a few categories. First and foremost, we have the ability to do one-on-one mentorship. This is if you're really good at what you do and you have the ability to speak to people, work with them directly. The next thing is going to be some form of done for you. As I mentioned, if you have the ability to take care of what you're saying and implement it for them, that's always going to be what you can warrant charging the most for, which means when you're charging the most, you need the least amount of views to actually make serious money using this. And then the next phase here is going to be some form of course or PDF that you're selling. And typically these aren't going to be that expensive. Course is actually a separate section from PDF here. These can be anywhere from, call it, $50 all the way up to $1,500, but this is going to be something that requires none of your time to actually deliver. You also have the ability to do kind of like a group coaching mastermind. I'd say that falls under the category of in between the one-on-one and the done for you section here, with the done for you actually being the most and the pretty much way that you want to figure out what is going to work the best for you is if you are an expert and you have the ability to do a done for you solution, start with that. And as you get more and more views and traffic, you want to progressively move down the ladder here to where if you go absolutely crazy viral and you get millions of views, you're going to want to probably stop at the course of a happy medium here, just so you can actually monetize prioritize all the attention that you're getting on board. Now, if you have absolutely no experience and like the guy teaching the foreign language, starting off with a PDF that you are selling can allow you to do a faceless channel, or just allow you, when you're not a crazy amount of an expert, to still get across super high quality information that you can give to people. And because the price point is much lower, still have them feel as though they're getting value from what you're actually sharing them. Now, from that point on, once you have that product, you're going to be setting it up in the form of a landing page here. Now, the landing page can happen in a multitude of different functions. You can have a landing page that is going to direct them to actually scheduling a call with you. This is what you see where the people have the text on a headline here, they have the video, and then they have the button to actually schedule a call. So this is when it's actually directing people to some form of Zoom to one-on-one call where they want to sell you, usually the high ticket one-on-one or group coaching, or even sometimes done for you an instance. When you have close to no traffic and you just want to build up an ecosystem, you can do what I actually do right now, which is called an opt-in landing page. What this means is that we have our setup of a funnel here, and instead of actually just allowing people to just immediately watch a video and schedule it if they'd like, I have the same button, video, and headline. However, it's going to direct people to another page that functions exactly like this before we actually go and hop onto a call with them. And what that means is that now I'm able to collect their information, like their email, their phone number, their Instagram, so I can actually reach out to them, contact, and see if there's any way that I can help them. And that's the big thing, is you want to always focus on a lens of helping people. The way that I personally like to run my business, I'm not heavy on the sales. I just like to help people to the point where they realize that if they want to pay me, I can help them even more and more and more, because they make the assumption that if what I do for free is so good, then my paid stuff must be even better. Now, those are the two landing pages that you can run. Keep it extremely simple. If you're selling some form of PDF, you can either do a straight checkout page or a document when it's not that expensive. However, when it comes to actually posting and driving traffic, do this. So your YouTube description is like a sales copy here. You either want to have a super minimalistic one where you have literally just the link to your program and then like one or two socials that you prioritize, or you want to have it to the point where it's built out and super complex. Which one of these two is better? It really depends on the specific person that you're talking to. From that point, you can figure out what would actually be best. However, typically, the long one is going to look like a link. Then you're going to be sharing a social, and then you're going to be sharing the story of your life, who you are, what you do, exactly how it works again, and then maybe another link here that is actually going to direct all the way up to either one of these funnels here, just depending on the level of traffic that you're getting and what you're actually selling. Now, when you're coming down to actually posting on YouTube to get this, the big mistake that I see a lot of people make is because they don't actually take the time to figure out who they're speaking to and the right kind of content, they just make stuff that their ICP or their target customer doesn't actually want to watch. A lot of times I've seen a seasoned business owner or expert make videos with high editing and crazy thumbnails and effects when people really just want to listen to them speak. So if we're to take the overall week here, we've got Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. It actually comes down to understanding how you want to approach your content. Now, when you are a small channel, I recommend you do a blitzkrieg content posting strategy. This means at a minimum, you're posting on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. This is going to allow, even if you are not somebody who's big in the space, because they're being reaffirmed about you so frequently, they have the ability to gain the likability and trust to actually pay you. The next example is if you're really going crazy and you have a lower effort style of content, similar to the videos I'm making now, you can go up to doing every single weekday, if not every single day of the week here, just pumping out a daily video to provide value. Because what we need to understand is that views matter not on a per video basis. So per video doesn't matter. Per video does not matter at all. What we're thinking about is a per month basis. So a per month basis, if we do not have the ability to create these absolute banger YouTube videos, or maybe we're in a niche where we might only ever get 100 views per video, which I have clients that do, you need to understand that posting at this extremely high volume is the way to compensate for the lower amount of views you're going to get on an individual video. Or maybe it's the skill that you lack as well. Maybe you're like me and you're not that good at going viral, but because you're posting so frequently, you still get all the right traffic to, again, drive to these landing pages here in order to convert the customers off the description page that you have. And that is the secret. If you can post frequently on an actual high frequency basis and use the funds to reinvest and build your audience, it takes decades and decades and decades to build a proper audience. So posting frequently in the short term will never have any side effects, and it is probably the best way to get started. So that is the overall process of how I do this. I have so many more videos where I keep going more and more in depth. Hopefully, I'll cover all this topic for free on YouTube one day, but I hope the value that you got from this video is worth the time that you spent. If you'd like the free training of exactly how I do this and the even more granular video on exactly how to implement this, you have the ability to do a description. But outside of that, again, I hope the value you got from this video is worth the time you spent. I look forward to seeing you in the next one.